It's all these fundamental things that taken together comprise a system at the lower levels that lets you build a foundation to get to the higher levels. So in the system, there's a thing called 8 releases, of which is really only 4. Go ahead and stand up. And just to quick summarize, the first 4 here, second one's here, come through, put them on point. I'm just doing one side. This is actually done totally bilaterally here. Put them on point again. Then that's the first 4 releases. The last 4 are failures. I try the first release, everything goes haywire. He rolls in behind me. I just keep moving. I try the second release. He starts to push me to one side like Sumio-toshi. I flow with him and go through it. I try the third release. He rolls in the front. The hand comes up. I move through. The last release, I start the fourth release. He pushes across to throw me. I come through. So that's a fundamental piece of our system. So it's useful because it teaches a large picture of off balance. Like I said yesterday, if he grabs, I can do something like that pretty easily. But the problem is, at the beginning stages especially, if you don't get the balance proper, then you come up, he'll lock you down. So now you're faced with the problem of, do I fight this? Do I compensate by making a motion like this? Or, in this case, do I simply flow into the motion, float this front foot like a weather vane, drive to one side, take as much off balance as I can, and as he recovers, I sink in time with him and come around. So those are the 8 releases, fundamentally the way they're put together. So what we've done is build a system to teach a couple things. One is to recognize this, get as much off balance, so when he grabs, I'm working on the off balance here. I'm trying to come outside the arm and break his posture over this side over here. On the second release, he comes through, I break the posture over here. So we're creating vectors in terms of balance break. So as we do this, we come through, and I'm trying to build a timing window, because if he's going down and I'm going up, push down as I come up, he breaks me down. So I've got to sink in with him, so when he grabs, we're down together, up together, down together. So everything becomes a timing issue to understand, almost like judo. He comes forward, takes a step, down, up. So it's a balance breaking experiment, what it is. So it's useful to teach all that, but also to teach geometry. Excuse me. If I understand geometry with me relative to him, as I move around, there's a tendency sometimes to take the big motion and I turn him facing over here, where if you notice my right arm is now off the side when it should be pretty much in the middle. If I turn and come around, I'm now turned and I've just lost the use of my left arm. So I have to get the geometry down to know that when I make this movement and we're synced in together, I turn into him at the last second. Here it comes forward, 1, 2. And now I'm set up. And I'm learning to grip. If I learn to grip at the right moment in time, right there, when it's too late for him to stop me, he doesn't sense the grip. His subconscious mind doesn't go. If I grab here, his subconscious mind goes, danger, Will Robinson, danger. And he'll feel this subconsciously start to fight back. So if I wait for this, I'm in sync. I'm trying to neutralize his feel of me as much as possible by being completely in sync with him, and come through 1, 2. Grab as late as I can. Now I'm set up for the technique. All I've got to do is walk through it. We also talked about the idea of this teaches unbendable arms. In the sense, if I come to here and my arms bend, then now I lose out. He can push back against me. Or I miss out on off balance. If he doesn't push back, I'm now here. I've got to find some way to come around. My arms bend up this way. But look at the off balance that I lose if I plant my feet. Watch his body. All I've done is straighten my arm. So it's like, I used the comparison for Joe yesterday. In Joe, the stick doesn't compress. If I walk up to Dave and I push, my arm compresses. Now I've got to either do something here or I've got to shove him off. I look at it as a Joe stick. Come up, apply the body behind it. So now I do the release, apply the body, come around, grab the last second. Simple as that. So that's the first grip off the first release. We'll show the second one. We come around, move, I take the grip, except now he flows past me and the hand pops open. If I take this from behind, that simple to move. So what we're trying to do is a whole combination of really fundamental ideas, which is body rise and fall, move with him, understand the geometrics of positioning to where I use both hands as opposed to being locked into being a one-arm guy here, understand how late to grip, understand how I can walk through the technique here, and also recognize the fact that the time to grip is right there. Or the time to grip, recognize the potential for tenkai is right there by moving. So it's a whole combination of real basic ideas, because one of the things we have in hand randori, excuse me, hand randori, I got sinuses today, is we're moving and I'm here in my subconscious mind. If I don't recognize it, I won't know the grip exists. I won't recognize that we're coming to here, moving. I've got to recognize with both sides when this hand's exposed and when I can grip it and when I can't. And that's part of what the releases are teaching us. This grip system. 1, 2, 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So work on those two and try to make big motions, because I look at this as diagnostics. Can you do it smaller? Absolutely. Can the motions get tighter and more precise? Absolutely. But what we're trying to do is recognize mistakes. Am I doing this and having to catch up? Am I doing this and having to catch up? So I want to look at big motions as a diagnostic system to correct my postural issues and my movements. Okay? These are all techniques we do in or Toshi Randori. It's called hand randori. But it's a diagnostic system, so let me give you something to play with. The way these things are set up is we give you the most difficult problem to deal with. If he grabs me up here, then some of this stuff becomes pretty simple to do. But the problem with being grabbed on the wrist or fighting off the end of the wrist is that now I've got all these levers and hinges and ball joints. It's a further distance. It's more problematic because now I've got to be more on my game, so to speak. I have to be more accurate because of all the leverages and the geometry, everything moving together, all this loose system. So now, grab here and grab the elbow. Just to answer a question sometimes people have, well, what if he does this? If you do the same motion, it makes no difference. So with that, the elbow grip, I come around, take the grip, take the release. He grabs the wrist and elbow, same difference. If my motion is the same, see the problem he creates for himself? If my motion is the same, he can grab me in different places, like grab here and up here. My motion is exactly the same. See the problem he gives himself? So this is more difficult to do because I've got a lot more complexity to deal with in terms of joints and levers and whatnot. But if he grabs, he'll grab up here, but if he gets, sorry, initial grab here, but up there, but here I just do make the same motion. Makes no difference to me if I'm consistent with my application. Now here's where it gets weird in a sense. If I go haywire this way, I just gave myself up, which is why it's so important to get my geometry right, my body position relative to him, which is here, face my hand. And as I do this, try to take my balance. No difference to me. I'm doing the same exact thing with no difference whatsoever. I'm just moving my feet. So try that for a while, experiment, but don't throw people around and get legs and whatnot. So, but play with it. Come to here, you grab there. Change the grip. Let him grab up here with the collar. Okay? That's the same. Let's go on to the second release with the next two grips. But I want to kind of address something at first. There's a Zen concept called attachment. And one of the useful items of doing these releases where he grabs the wrist, or just any kind of grab really, is you learn to avoid the concept of being attached to something. Because if Dave walks up, I may do this for years with one hand and I do great releases and understand the grip and come around, but then suddenly one day he walks up and grabs two hands. And now my mind attaches to this because I've never seen it before. I'm looking at this going, what do I do now? And I start to struggle because I build a pause into my reaction time, because my mind went from I'm moving great to, oh God, it's two hands, I'm attached to this. So your mind jumps onto this and stays fastened to it, and now it destroys your reaction time and gives him the advantage. So part of the idea in the Tomiki system, the way I've always understood it from my teachers, is that you just do this stuff, you get relaxed, he comes up, he does it, you come over, you do it like this, you grab your ear, I'm sure Nick's laughing now because he's seen this stuff before, you have a finger up your nose, you get silly with it, but you just do it a zillion times until the fact that he's attached to you makes no difference. He just grabs, and you move, and you do the technique, and you take him over, and you just move. And so you want to avoid attachment. The second thing is, you want to be patient with these. Because so many times people will get to here, and they'll think, I've got to hurry. He's going to get me, I've got to hurry, so you start seeing things like this. And now I'm not even positioned for this. So you want to be patient. You want to move, wait, not time, spring the trap. You know what I mean? See on the other side over here. Wait, spring the trap. And if you notice, I'm springing the trap, the grip, at a moment in time when he's already broken over on that foot. I'm not doing it over here. I'm doing it when he's already on that foot and can't stop me from doing it. But I can only get him in this condition of off balance and posture break by waiting a relatively long time and being patient for it to show up. Does that make some sense? So this really is a lot of mental aspect to this. So in the first release, or the first two grips, we're looking at me breaking his posture, this front corner. He's attached to me this way, but I can also do it if he pushes at my face. I break it to the front corner. In the second release, I'm moving to the outside, but the same thing as if he pushes my face, I'm breaking it to the other front corner, except now it's perpendicular to his feet. So that's the balance that we're looking for. So the release, or the motion, is we're here, and right now the geometry of my arms is straight. So as I start the off balance, I start to move, because the hand is right there, the palm is right on top. I can move and pick this up and come around to my tosh. Sorry, Dave. Other side. You reach over, move, my tosh, and then throw. So the geometry of the straight arm allows me to step, push the off balance across, move, and as I move, when this coil comes into play, he's already broken down, so now I can grip. See, I can't grip here. So if I move, the coil comes into play, breaks his posture around this other foot, his left foot, and now I can come around to my touch. So the second grip off this series is I start to move, except now the geometry has changed. Instead of having straight arms like this, maybe he moved faster than I expected, maybe I stepped wrong, and now I've got this angle. I can't reach back and pick this up, because if I just try to reach back and pick this up, Dave just starts to break my balance forward, and then I'm in trouble. So I've got to move to here, except I want this hand in play. So I don't want him to take this hand and pop me in the face, so I move and pick this hand up this way here. This grip you can't break. You got to assume the grip here is so strong that you can't do that. You have to weaken the grip with body motion. So I change the geometry, because the hand only works this way, but if I change the geometry, watch out, it starts to break his grip down. And I'm just moving, and it pops out the end. I've done nothing except change the angle of the grip. And now I don't want to open up this way, because if I do, I expose myself to things like he could do like the fourth release. Curving under. Yeah, see the problem I've got? So I don't want to be too much here. I want to come around and pick this up, and it's like, hold your hand up. Like your hand is just like this. All I do is take this, put my palm on the back of his wrist, close my fingers, and pick this up right here. It's a real powerful coordination. Yesterday I was talking about going down through the center this way. You can do that, but you can also come to here, actually get a throw out of it. So it's a real powerful movement, but you got to be in position for it, because if you come up and you grab this too soon, or try to pop this off, Now your mind attaches to this. You're fighting to get this, and if he's a good player, you're going to have all kinds of off-balance issues of your own to deal with. So the idea is to move. Comes up, 1, 2, 3. Okay? So try those. Try this release with these 2 grip methods off of it, and just be fluid with it. And again, if you want, you could do this. Play with it a little bit, grab up here. Same difference. Except now you may have to change your grip. But as long as I move, I don't care. Okay? As long as I move, grab up here, okay? As long as I move, I don't care. Okay? But I got to move. I want him to do anything he wants to do within reason, but I got to move. So try this for a few minutes, please. We'll go on the 3rd set here in a little bit. Thank you. Now that I kind of reviewed Jesty for the first 4 grips, and kind of re-emphasize some of the ideas we're trying to do. Let me re-emphasize that what this really is. It's like a diagnostic cleanup drill is what we use it for. It doesn't mean, in fact, what we do sometimes is Dave will come up, and I suggest that when you go back to your home dojo, sometimes you try a big motion, and try a smaller motion, and try a tiny motion, and go back to a big motion. Just get real flexible with it and use it as an experiment. You don't have to lock yourself into do it only this way because LF said so. It's a diagnostic to clean things up. So if you find a small motion doesn't quite work, then make it bigger. If you find the big motion is too awkward, make it smaller. Play with it. Be adaptive with it. It's a tool. It's not a formalized kata. It's just a tool that we use to teach people fundamental ideas of moving, positioning, geometry. It's all in the world it is. Okay, so the 3rd release. So the way this is set up, Dave pushes at my face, outside posture, which is this first one, this motion here. He pushes at my face. Now I take it this direction over here to his inside. First I go to his outside, then his inside. Now we're back to, I go at his outside again. I'm taking off balance this way, and the 4th release we'll get in a second. I take it to the inside. So we're going to his inside, to his outside, to his inside, to his outside, to his inside, back and forth to see the parameters. We're trying to understand how to break his posture down the line of the feet, but also perpendicular to the feet. We're going back and forth. And the first time we're cross grip, because if he throws a punch, don't pull a punch, but if he throws a punch, I may end up my hand on the outside. Cross grip. Or I may end up with my hand on the same side, the mirror image. So the drill is set up to where it doesn't make a difference what arm you throw up. If the punch comes up, I end up like this. I don't care because this was the first arm engaged, so now I have an answer. So if you look at these, as I'm doing this for the off balance, and then it gets smaller, and then it gets smaller still, and then I take the grip out entirely, just pushes it in my face. To me, it's the same difference. I'm just learning to manipulate my hand touching his hand, whether it's a parry or whether it's a grip. But I'm still taking the posture over here. So in this case, I've got palm up. So I move to the outside. I try to keep my hands in the center here in this box. As I come around and hit the off balance, I close right there. And he can do one of 2 things. One of 2 things will happen at this point. But I have to wait for the grip, the right moment in time to close. See how late I wait? It's a long time. I have to move, and come up and pick this up. If I try to grab here, aside from the fact my wrist is broken over and I'm trying to close, the balance isn't set up yet. He's not ready. Remember earlier I said, be patient. Some of the stuff you have to do, like snapping your fingers. Some of the stuff you can do, you have to wait a long time and sort of let the cake rise. So look at Kazushi as the cake is rising. It's not time to ice, now it's time to ice. So once you understand that, there's one of 2 things that will occur. We'll move to here, his arm will stay straight. So I break him down by moving off. I just take this and make a nice little circle and break him to this. Watch the direction of the posture. 1, 2. Look how I move. See where his feet are? Perpendicular to his feet. I turn and drop right there perpendicular to his feet and just drop some weight on top of it. Or he may react back. If he does, 1, 2. Take him over this way and move. So either he's going to have a stiff arm which gives you this because you're moving. Or he's going to have a flexible arm because he panics and recoils back and move. But again, I can't start turning sideways. I've got to keep both hands engaged here, square to him, so if necessary I can come up and do other techniques. Everybody see the two grips? Wait a long time. Play with this for a few minutes, please. Just make an experiment out of it. Thank you. Mate. Okay. There you go. Okay. Let's look at the last grip in this set. What I'll do is, even though there's 8 releases and about 16 grips, we're not going to get to them. And in my mind, that's okay because the last set of grips, based off this release system, is really not that important because in the Toshu system that we adapted this from, really and truly, if we're doing randori or something, I'm moving, I'm trying to deal with that. I don't want to turn my back. I mean, to me, in my mind, in my opinion, if we're doing randori and we're doing something like this, I turn my back. The second my back turns, I'm toast. And so turning your back on somebody, again in my opinion, in a randori situation, is strategically unwise if you do it for any reason other than purely by accident. And if it just happens, you got to cope with that. But really staying square to the guy and understanding how to be square, use both hands, keep both hands active, move. If he starts to move, I move. I position close to him. I'm not turned someplace. Being square to him and being able to engage with both hands really is important. So to me, the first half of the system is the most critical part, because that's really what you're dealing with, is hand exchanges and moving back and forth and staying square to the guy. So now the release, and then we'll cover the fourth release and the 2 grips off that tomorrow, and we'll review the whole thing, let you guys have something to take home and play with. My palm is up and he grabs. I move, and a while ago, after I broke his posture, and everything starts to develop, the hand comes up and closes like this. And the randori application to this really would be something like pushing my face like that. So all this stuff has a randori application. So remember, part of what we're trying to deal with is recognizing where the grip is. When is the best time to close your hand and the position of where you can close your hand and control his posture, control his kazushi, but not be counterattacked, so to speak. That's what you're looking to recognize, aside from the movement and the posture, is when's the best time to close the hand, and right here's a good time to close the hand. So now, let's take a look at, I move, and he's got my hand a different direction, so I come up, there's the off balance, now I move, and I pick up this. Now you have to recognize the kotomawashi is possible right here, because of the way the hand configuration is. See, a while ago, the hand was turned this way. We could do kotomawashi possibly, but it's difficult to get to. It's not impossible, obviously. You can do some things with this. But if I come through and the hand turns, I'm like this. Now kotomawashi becomes really left hand, really a firm possibility. So now do the grip, move, the hand comes over, recognize that you've got this potential grip right here, you can do things with it. So all this stuff has a finish. I mean, if you want to play with it, then you can make a finish with it. You can come to here and go. There's all kinds of stuff you can play with. You can do different things. Come to here. So everything has an ending. All we're trying to do is recognize where my posture is, what the angles are, is my geometry pure, is my posture not broken but his is, and understand where the grip occurs. Because from here I've got all kinds of stuff I can do to the guy. So anything beyond that is just icing on the cake. But you got to get there before you can do it. If you can't make the release and the off balance and the position, then you can't do the technique with any kind of ease at all, because you come up here, you start to grab, you go. I'm locked in, or Dave has a hand in the face. I try it, I get in a hurry, hand in the face. You got to get there first, but once you get there, see, use the left hand just to play with it a little bit. I come up off balance, hand can't get to me. So the position I'm adapting gives me the ability to block his other hand. Because our assumption is he's a smart player, and every time I try to do something, that hand's going to come into play. I've got to control his hand. Every time I try to do something, that hand's going to come into play. I got to control the hand. I got to lock this arm out of the equation entirely. If I don't, I'm going to have a lot of trouble. So part of this positioning geometry we were talking about in the off balance is avoiding his back hand because his hand wants to come right to your face every time. Or it should. Now, in practice, be careful with that, but be aware that possibility is there. So now, let's do this for a few minutes. 1, 2. And if you want to come up here, do what you want to do. There's one more to do before lunch. High Dojo, please. It's just Kotenari. I want to be sure that we get the whole package in because I've got to stop at 11, before 11 a little bit to let Ledger Sensei come out and teach. So I want to be sure y'all can see this because it's so simple. It's just really simple to see. So the first ones, we come to here and I palm up and I rotate and this comes over and I lock his shoulder up with this motion right here. Whether I'm coming down, forward, whether he recoils back, I'm still locking the shoulder down. And this one, the third one, I come through and the hand is now turned in a different direction and I pick this up and because I'm square to him, if I'm turned I can't do it, but if I move and I'm square to him, I can pick up Koda Mawashi. So now, a piece step beyond this, I come to here, and I pick this up, and the hand breaks free because notice how our geometry changed? We move, and I'm square, and it rolls right into, take my feet out of it, it rolls right into Koda Mawashi. But if I move, or he moves, and the geometry changes a little bit, the hand may pop off, and now I've got to recognize Koda Hinari. So again, what we're doing here is it's a diagnostic experiment to fix our posture and movement, but also primarily recognize when you can take a grip. Because in my early years, we do hand randori. I'd come to here and I'd get this great move, and I'd do something dumb like over here. And that was crazy because Gai Sensei used to say, take what you get and recognize your opportunity because he's giving you a gift. So part of the idea of these grips is to recognize, oh, thank you so much. I'll just take that very much. And if I don't get that, if I get Koda Mawashi, I'll take that. And if the hand's turned the wrong way, I get this, it pulls back, I go up to here. So you're learning to recognize when you can grip at the right time and take advantage of a position he gave you by just saying, here. Okay, so he's giving you a gift. So for the last 5 or 10 minutes here, play with that set real quick, and then I guess Nick or Ledger Sensei would give a small break, and then we'll go to work on the next set. All right, High Dojo, thank you for coming today. I appreciate it very much. Work on that some.